The Philippines is one, if not the most beautiful archipelago throughout the world, home to a fun-loving and great people who look forward to the great days ahead. A distant place for some that has an assorted landscape filled with great beauty. Hey everybody, welcome to FTD Facts, the channel where we teach you guys about everything and everything. Now, today we are revisiting the Philippines. First of all, our first video on it was so successful, you guys wanted us to do a part 2 on, and let's be real, I just love the Philippines. I think it's an amazing place because of its landscape and its people. And for us, we just gotta look into it again because, well, we want to give you guys more facts. Now, for those who are here on the channel for the first time, we recommend that you guys leave suggestions for future FTD Facts videos down there in the comment section below. And also, guys, before we get into this video, we want you guys to check out Grammarly.com. Now, these guys are a sponsor of us, and we want you guys to check it out because, well, you guys want more videos, and this really helps with our budget, and they give us the opportunity to do more videos. Grammarly is the world's leading software suite for perfecting written English. It checks for more than 250 types of spelling, grammar, and punctuation errors. Grammarly currently has millions of registered users and is used by more than 600 educational and corporate clients, including Princeton University. And what's great, guys, it also just helps you guys enhance the way you speak, type, and of course work. But like I said, go check them out, register, it's totally free. Use our link, which is grammarly.com/FTD Facts. But enough promotion, let's get on to the video, and with that, I want to know, what is the most exotic place that you could visit? Let me know down there. Me? Hawaii. 100%. Yeah. So the Philippines. In our last video we mentioned quite a bit, so if we miss any cool facts in this video, be sure to check out our first one because we probably mentioned it there. But one thing we didn't mention is how the country is the second largest exporter of coconuts. If you're a coconut fan, you definitely want to go to the Philippines because the Philippines exports a lot of them. As a matter of fact, in 2009, they exported 19,500,000 tons of the fruit. And reports say that 25% of the cultivated land is dedicated to coconuts, which equals 3.6 million hectares, and anywhere between 25 to 33% of the population depend on coconut farming, sales, shipping, and distribution as their income. But that is not the only thing that the Philippines has exported. You could say that the Philippines theoretically exported the yo-yo. Although the yo-yo originally comes from either Chinese or Greek origins, the yo-yo became popular in the 19th century all because of Pedro Flores, who is an inventor who traveled to the United States in 1928 to start his yo-yo company. But the word yo-yo is said to come from the Filipino Ilocano word yo-yo, which means come back. And speaking about languages, let's actually talk about the languages of the Philippines. The Philippines has many native tongues. Currently, it has 8 major native languages, which are Bicol, Cebuano, Hiligaynon, Ilocano, Kapampangan, Pangasinan, Tagalog, and Waray. Now, Tagalog and English are the 2 most popular languages throughout the country. But including these languages minus English, they say there is anywhere between 120 to 175 native languages throughout the country. And unfortunately, 4 of them are no longer in use, but as for these languages, most of them are Malayo-Polynesian in descent, except for Chavacano, which has Creole origins. So let's move on and let's talk about volcanoes because the Philippines has quite a few of them. And one of the most active volcanoes is the Volcano of Tau. Now, ironically, it is on an island called Volcano Island. And although it is one of the smallest active volcanoes in the world, it is a special volcano because it is one of 17 volcanoes that is listed as a decade volcano. Now, these volcanoes are watched closely by scientists throughout the world. The reason for this is because of their history, proximity to population, and many other features that scientists look for in order to prevent future catastrophes. And since 1572, Taal has had over 33 documented eruptions. But one of the most fascinating things about this volcano is not just its size and the amount of eruptions it's had, it's its crater lake, which may only be 20 meters deep and good for swimming, but it's cool because it's a lake within a lake within a lake. And really quite bizarre to see. Now, considering we're talking about volcanoes, let's talk about Camiguin Island. Although the island may only have 238 square kilometers, it has more volcanoes than cities, with a population of over 88,400 people. And the island itself has 7 volcanoes and 5 towns, making it the island with the most amount of volcanoes per square kilometer. Unfortunately, none of them have blown except for Mount Hibak-Hibak, which was in 1953. But one thing when it comes to the Philippines, have you ever heard of Jellyfish Lake? You probably have because it's world famous. It is a small lake on the island Malc that stretches over 14 acres and is 30 meters deep. And the reason it's called Jellyfish Lake is because it's home to a lot of jellyfish. Roughly 12 million jellyfish to be exact, with only 2 species known as the moon jellyfish and the golden jellyfish. Now, the lake itself is a saltwater lake, and it is one of 50 lakes in Palau that is open to the public, which you can pay $100 to visit. However, scuba diving is totally prohibited because the bubbles actually do damage to the jellyfish. And although you're swimming with jellyfish, it is completely safe to snorkel. This is because although the lake may be connected to the ocean, for the past 12,000 years, it has been listed as a self-contained ecosystem where the jellyfish have had their sting become diluted. And when it comes to aquatic life, we gotta talk about the Philippines Trench. Located east off the island of Mindanao, it is the 3rd deepest trench in the world, stretching a total of 1,320 kilometers long by 30 kilometers wide and 10,545 meters deep, beating the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench by only 3 meters. And although it is listed as a subduction zone where tectonic plates are colliding into another, it has not caused any large earthquakes since the 1600s. Now, although the land of the Philippines is fantastic, what about its people? Let's talk about Ferdinand Marcos, who was the first president elected of the Philippines. He ran from 1965 to 1986 with a corrupt dictatorship, but was the first and only person to be elected twice in the Philippines. However, during his second term, he declared martial law on September 21st, 1972, thus extending his limited 2-term presidency. But however, martial law didn't stay in the Philippines forever. When it ended in the 1970s, the first Philippine parliamentary election was held on April 7, 1978, in which Ferdinand also won, becoming the prime minister. However, no sooner after that, on June 6, 1981, the country held another presidential election. And guess what? That's right, he won the presidency for a 3rd term. But without getting into too much detail about his presidency, one of the most interesting things about him, well, is his death. Because he died on September 28, 1989. However, in 1993, which was 4 years after his death, his body was returned to the Philippines and put on ice for preservation. And until 2016, they didn't know what to do with his body until there was a vote where 50% of the voters decided that they should bury his body. But many decades later, after his death on November 18, 2016, he was finally buried to rest at the Heroes Cemetery of the Philippines. Now, in the Philippines, you can't go far without seeing one of these vehicles. These are called jeepneys. They are the most popular method of transportation around the Philippines, but these vehicles came from the Willys Jeeps from the Second World War. At the end of the war, when the United States troops were leaving, they ended up abandoning or either selling the Jeeps to the locals of the country. And since then, it's become a symbol of their culture and community, as people decorate these things for their personal and public use. And as a matter of fact, the first jeepney was shown at the World's Fair in 1964 at the Philippine exhibit. And throughout the years, they've made many modifications to the original Jeep, but if you still want to get one of the old Willys Jeep yourself, you can contact MD1 Enterprises in Manila, who make an exact replica of the old 1940s Jeep. Now, the Philippines is also a country that's progressing to be a bigger country than it actually is. And in 2014, it had some pretty interesting moments, as in April of that year, they legalized birth control for all of its people. But ironically enough, that same year in July, a baby girl was born, making her the 100th million Filipino. Her name is Jenalyn Centino, and she's one of 100 other babies born around the same time in the country who were given this historical title. And because of birth control and her birth, it marked a major change in the politics of the country. Although she was a celebration of life, she was also a celebration of choice, as the country for the last years had suffered a major population increase, with the health department hoping to reduce the population increase in order to reduce the poverty line and health for women giving birth. And with the introduction of birth control, it marked an important time when the Philippines fought against the Catholic ideals, fighting for pro-choice, allowing its citizens to make their own decisions in their life. And last but not least, probably one of the most amazing things about the country is the Philippines Philippines is the second largest geothermal producer in the world, but it is the largest consumer of energy from geothermal sources, as 17 to 18% of their power needs are covered by geothermal energy. And in total, they produce over 1,904 megawatts a year. But if you were to throw that in with the other renewable energies that the country has, renewable energy makes up 26% of the country's need. So there you have it, guys. It's amazing to talk about how the Philippines is a great country and how it's progressing for the future. But guys, my name's Dave Wapple, and once again, it's been great learning about new places throughout the world. It really opens our eyes to what's really going on our planet. But we also want to hear from you guys, so be sure to leave something down there in the comments section below. What countries do you want us to talk about? We're also talking about animals and celebrities, so don't hesitate to ask because we love hearing from you. And also, if you guys want to support us more, you guys can share this video. You can also hit up our Patreon page or sign up at grammarly.com/FTD Facts. It's free after all. But either way, feel free to do whatever you want to support us because we love making videos for you guys. We love learning and teaching with you guys. So be sure to educate us. We'll keep educating you. But that's been us talking about the Philippines, a great nation with much to offer. A beautiful place in the world where one can explore the vast archipelago. The Philippines, it is home to many different species and many different ideas. Ideas that'll bring choice and life to its inhabitants.